So yesterday, James Gunn and DC Studios officially released a small teaser trailer for Clayface. Now, this is the type of teaser trailer that I've been looking for. Not so much that it's like a teaser, but the fact that it actually feels like one. Like people forget back when teaser trailers were a thing, they used to be like 50 seconds to a minute long. And that's exactly what this was. It was daunting, dark, disturbing, creepy, and very exciting all in the same thing. And I gotta say, them using Matt Hagen instead of Basil Karlo is pretty much more proof that they're going more animated series than they are like comics, which is completely fine with me. I mean, if they're going with like the animated series episode Feet of Clay, which is just a great origin story for Clayface, I'm completely down with that. Obviously, with like rated R like levels, there's less restrictions, there's more violence they can do, blood, gore, and body horror is such a cool concept. Like I love body horror, and just looking at the guy, I can't remember the actor's name right now, but he looks like he's going to be a really good Matt Hagen. And also, for people who don't pay attention or listen, this is part of the established DC universe. This is with Superman and Supergirl and Creature Commandos because we saw him in Creature Commandos. Now, the Clayface that we see in Creature Commandos feels a little bit different. But again, we haven't seen what this Clayface is like all the way through yet. So, and I also just got a reading on how true this is, but James Gunn said that Clayface takes place before Superman. So that's interesting as well. To see that it takes place before the events of Superman, whereas Supergirl takes place in between Superman and Man of Tomorrow, which makes a little bit of sense. If we have Superman, Supergirl, Man of Tomorrow, I guess it would just make sense that Supergirl takes place in between because we saw her at the end of Superman picking up crypto, which leads into Supergirl. So let's keep that in mind. But I am excited to see this. I was excited when they announced it because I was like, you know what? I never get live action Clayface. It's about damn time we got it. Here it is. Let's do this. Like I'm with it. And I was like, I guess the best way to do a Clayface film is just body horror, right? Like, why would you do Clayface in the style of like Venom or like Madam Web or Morbius when you can go a completely different route and make the Clayface transformation terrifying? I mean, in reality, it is a terrifying situation. I mean, like Batman the Animated Series did it really well. Uh, the Batman from like 2003, they did Clayface really well. And I was like, Clayface was always a villain you could do really well. You could make it terrifying, but you could also make it sad if you actually do it right. And like, it seems like they're going that direction. Like they're going to make Clayface sad. And a lot of people were saying like, why isn't it in the Batman verse? Well, the problem with that is the Batman verse is supposed to be hyper realistic, like more realistic than the Dark Knight was. So like Clayface just doesn't make sense for that kind of thing. But I do think Clayface makes perfect sense for James Gunn's DCU. James Gunn seems to be going full blown comic as much as he can, which is why Superman was the way it was. It was a full blown big ass comic book movie. So now Clayface is just right there along with it, but it's going to be more terrifying. And this also proves what James Gunn promised, that each DC movie, for the most part, will have their own feel to them. That is very much proven with this Clayface trailer because this didn't feel anything like Superman or even what Supergirl looks like. This looks like it's very much a dark take on the episode Feet of Clay from Batman the Animated Series long ago. Now, what I suggest people, I'm not saying it's going to do anything crazy numbers wise, but I did look up the budget, and apparently it only cost them about 40 million to make. So I'm not expecting anything super extravagant. But what I am expecting is for them to go like a nice 80s horror movie style, where it's just practical effects and they do everything off movie magic and rely less on CGI. Now, there is going to have to be some CGI if we see like him in full ass Clayface. Like we're not gonna get just a bunch of animatronic clay or something, and it just like we're not gonna get that. Like that's where the CGI is probably more likely to come in if we're just being honest. But if we're also being honest, they could do something so out the box with like a lot of practical effects. Horror movies are like the one things keeping practical effects alive, and this would be quite possibly the best case scenario for a superhero movie in modern times to not rely so heavy on CGI. And based off set photos, it looks like they really did go with a lot of prosthetics and makeup effects and shot on location and things like that. Now, obviously, that's a good sign. I've always said if you put the people in an environment, the acting just feels more natural. If you put the people in front of a green screen, well, they're going to phone it in. And that was definitely the case with Superman, where they had them on location, 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 and they just looked like they were feeling the environment they were in. They were acting off of where they were, and the performances felt genuine. Whereas with some other movies, like some MCU movies where everything's on a green screen, a lot of the actors phone in some of the performances. That doesn't mean they're not good, but they still kind of phone them in. It's just it's just a different type of thing. So for me, I'm very excited to see Clayface. I think it's going to be better than people were bitching about. Like, and I saw some people already try to make it like a Snyder thing, like, oh, when people complain that Snyder's movies were too dark, I was like, people were complaining that everything was too dark. Like, it was like, oh, Superman's depressed and doesn't understand if he's Superman, and like Wonder Woman was actually dark, but it was a World War I setting, but it still had some charm to it. Whereas like BVS was just dark and depressing, and just you just didn't know what the fuck to do with it. And then you had like Suicide Squad, which it was just a lot, and then like Shazam was light and fun, Aquaman was light and fun, but for the most part, the DCEU movies were just like not really there. Like, I'm sorry, y'all, but again, it's okay to have one of those movies be dark every now and then to kind of show like there's another side of the universe. But when everything for the most part feels the same, it doesn't really feel good to watch sometimes. Like, I don't need angry, depressed Superman when I could just have Superman. I would save that type of thing for Batman. And then like have Wonder Woman be a little bit more on the warrior side, which is exactly what I think we're gonna get with this universe. So Clayface being a part of the universe makes sense to me. The trailer was good. Now I would like to see a full fledged trailer. I would like for them to hide what full Clayface looks like until the end of the movie. Now that would be sick if they hid Clayface complete look until the movie comes out. Like, we don't need to see what he looks like until the film is out. And on another note, I want to talk about the poster real quick. I did post it on my post. If you guys go look at that, interact on that post if you want to, but also interact on this video. But like, I really like this poster. I think it looks cool. Like, you get a little bit of a glimpse of like there's some like clay in his face. It's like he looks like he's gonna be disgusting looking probably. And I mean, he's just a bunch of clay. I mean, we see in the trailer somebody injects something. So we know that that's at least going to happen. Like, somebody's setting him up. And it also just implicates that he will go through a horrible, horrifying transformation. Like, it's basically the substance, but Clayface. And the substance is great. So, Clayface going through a substance style body horror change just feels so right. I don't know why people don't understand that. Like, it just feels so right. You know what I mean? Like, if there's any villains who should go through a movie like this, it's Clayface and Killer Croc. Let's keep it a buck. Like, if we're gonna talk about two Batman villains that should go through something this terrifying like this, it's Clayface and Killer Croc. Now, like for Superman, I say like Parasite. Parasite should go through something like this, or like Metallo. Like imagine this, but like Metallo, bro. Like, that would be fire as hell. By James Cameron, just to throw in that Terminator reference. But I'm saying like this looks cool. Like, I think this is a really good poster for a low budget horror film that's also part of a big studio. I think DC's playing it smart by having Clayface be very, very much on the cheap side for a comic book film in recent years. Apparently, Supergirl will also be cheaper than what Superman was, which is nice to know. So I think we're getting a pretty smart approach to this. And also, the guy playing Clayface is not that big of a star. That sounds messed up to say, but he doesn't seem like he's that big of a star. So that's also pretty nice. Like they're going the route of least money push out, but still getting good performances. And they're doing it so smart. So with all that being said, I'm going to end it here. Let me know how you guys feel about the Clayface trailer down below. Also, let me know how you feel about the poster. How you guys feeling? Uh, Let me know how you guys like the video. I'll see you guys on the next one.